The first fight I'm gonna be covering today is in the ladies flyweight division between Andrea Lee and Miranda Maverick. And first off, what a fight by both ladies. Both ladies left it out on the line. Uh, Overall, I had Miranda winning the fight, just like how the judges' scorecards had it. I felt like she was the more busier fighter. She utilized more MMA work throughout the fight from rounds 1 to 3. She mixed in combinations of striking with clinch work, with wrestling, and also ground and pound. Now for Andrea Lee, I feel like she did fight very well in this fight, just wasn't busy enough. But she did have more significant strikes, damaging blows. She even gave us a little treat there in round 2 with the suplex she had hit on Miranda Maverick. Honestly, that was really entertaining to watch. With this win, it not put Miranda Maverick back in the top 15, and I feel like that's a really good spot for her. She's very hungry, ready to move up the ladder boards, and I feel like she's gonna have a busy year this year. I can easily see her taking 2 more fights this year and possibly being within the top 10 by the end of the year. The next fight I'm gonna be covering takes place in the men's welterweight division between Josh Quinlan and Danny Barlow. And fellas and ladies, I truly believe welterweight division now got a new contender, possibly, definitely a new star in Danny Barlow. If y'all watched that fight, wow, what a performance by Danny Barlow. He really showed us superior striking in that fight. He did have a good dance partner in Josh Quinlan, shout out to him. But in my opinion, back tactic by Quinlan. He should have utilized more of his black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu and try to get that fight to the ground. He did late in that fight, but by then Barlow has already badly beaten him. So I'm pretty sure that affected Quinlan's ability to try to effectively take that fight to the ground. Keep an eye out for Barlow, ladies and gentlemen. This dude, I truly believe he's going to be possible next star in the UFC. Next fight I'm going to be talking about today, it's going to take place in the men's heavyweight division. Marcos Rogerio de Lima versus Junior Tafa. And let me just start off by saying, wow, great performance by Marcos Rogerio de Lima. I did not expect this fight turn out the way it did. I thought it was going to be a more even fight, more of a brawl. But when I tell y'all, Marcos had a game plan. He executed it early, battered Junior's lead leg. And when I say Junior Tafa, when that leg went, basically the fight was already over, just a matter of time. Like, leg kicks, for most people, they may not understand how severe leg kicks is, but when you lose your leg, it's probably one of the most painful things to feel. So, good job to Marcos Rogerio de Lima for finding that weakness in Junior's game and utilizing it early, and he just beat him up all fight. What a fight by Marcos Rogerio de Lima. The next fight we'll be talking about takes place in the women's strawweight division. Amanda Lemos versus Mackenzie Dern. And this fight kind of went like how I expected it, because, you know, stylistically, when you look at Amanda's style and Mackenzie's style, you got striker versus jiu-jitsu. But the jiu-jitsu fighter in Mackenzie Dern, she's very game. I knew she was going to be willing to stand, and if she did use that route, which she did, I had a feeling she was going to have a long day in the office. Amanda Lemos put a lot of damage on her. I'm pretty sure Mackenzie Dern's going to need facial surgery after this fight, but she had a lot of toughness. How she didn't get finished in that fight, and it went all 3 rounds into the judges' scorecards. This speaks on her toughness. Crazy fight by both ladies. We should be expecting Amanda Lemos to be fighting for a title belt in the near future again with that performance. The next fight I'm going to be talking about takes place in the men's middleweight division. Anthony Hernandez versus Roman Kopylov. Now, this fight, I was a little surprised. I really had Roman winning this fight, but shout out to Anthony Hernandez. He took care of business. Now, Hernandez, you know, y'all might have heard he may not be the most athletically gifted, but boy, he probably has one of the biggest hearts I ever seen. Like, if y'all watched closely in that first round, Roman was really hurting him with the straight shot and liver kicks. He landed about 2 to 3 liver kicks in that first fight, and you know it affected Anthony, but bro just really tough us down. So he just kept coming forward. And late in that round, in the first, he was able to control Roman a little bit on the cage, trying to fully take him off, but Roman was able to fend him off. Now going into round 2, Anthony just implemented the same game plan, push him up against the cage, trying to take him down, and this time he got success. And when he got there, you could kind of tell 2 things with Roman. He was kind of out of his element, and 2, he was getting a little tired, so he was getting a little sloppy down there, and Anthony kept on working him. Eventually, Roman gave up his back, Anthony was able to secure the back, and it was a matter of time before he sort of sink that choke and get the finish. The next fight I'm going to be talking about takes place in the men's bantamweight division. You got Merab Dvalishvili versus Henry Cejudo. Now, this fight kind of played out like I expected it, because what I expected was Henry Cejudo to show his vintage Harry early, but as the fight went on to kind of like die off, because like I was telling y'all earlier in my last video, Henry just came off of retirement. He only had 1 fight before this fight, and that fight was like 10 months ago versus Aljamain Sterling. Now, Merab Dvalishvili, if you know anything about this guy's cardio king. I'm talking about he gonna keep going, and by the time you done, you need oxygen, you need all that. He's still like he fresh for me. So seeing that fight, Henry sure actually impressed me because of his long layoff, how well he handled Merab in that first round. But like I said, rounds 2 came around, he could kind of see Henry kind of lost his tank, no second win coming. Merab just kind of picked him apart, tore him apart a little bit. And I wanted to say something about this fight also. I think it was a little disrespectful what Merab did. Why he had Henry in a chokehold, and he looking at Mark Zuckerberg, and he's saying something to Mark Zuckerberg. Like, that was a little disrespectful. But congrats to Merab Dvalishvili. He's definitely should be fighting for the belt next. I don't know what else he has to do. All right, so the next fight I'm gonna be talking about takes place in the men's welterweight division. Geoff Neal versus Ian Garry. Now, this fight to me was a major disappointment because the styles of these 2 fighters and the animosity that they brought into this fight, I was expecting a bloodbath. I was expecting both men willing to go out in a casket to leave that fight. But instead what we got was kind of like they kind of didn't want to really fight each other. Like, they did all this animosity talk leading up to the fight. Then when they got in there, it kind of like was a charade. You know, Ian Garry was kind of running a little too much from Geoff Neal. Geoff Neal, not even when he had Ian in the pocket, he not doing enough. Neither fighter, in my opinion, did enough. You could just tell neither fighter really wanted that night. But shout out to Ian Garry for still at least securing the win. He's now, I believe, 14-0 record, 7-0 in the UFC. He's definitely with that welterweight division, and you know, things are shaking up in that welterweight division. All right, so the next fight I'm gonna be talking about takes place in the men's middleweight division with Robert Whittaker and Paulo Costa. And I don't agree with the judges' scorecards here. I had Costa winning this fight 2-1. Fight was very close, very great fight. Both fighters really came and brought it. Definitely a fight of the night contender fight. But the reason why I had Costa win this fight was, if y'all watch the fight, you see rounds 1, how close that round was. But if you pay attention, almost when the rounds ended up, past the 10-second mark, you see Paulo Costa hit Robert Whittaker with a spinning back heel kick, which hurt Whittaker bad. I think that should have been enough to give Costa that round. And round 2, I feel like Costa was the busier fighter, really messing Whittaker, really busting him up. Whittaker did have a lot of offense in that round too, but with the damage Costa caused and him being busier earlier, I feel like Costa should have had that round. And round 3 was so close, it could easily went to either fighter. So I'm not disappointed that judges saw for Whittaker, but to give Whittaker a unanimous decision win, I feel like they robbed Costa there. But what a fight! Definitely a title eliminator. Puts Whittaker back in the title race, depending on Dracus' next fight, current champion for the middleweight division. Whitaker could easily get the title fight in 1 or 2 more fights. Also, the final fight we'll be talking about today takes place in the men's featherweight division. Alexander Volkanovski versus Ilia Topuria. And wow, great performance by Ilia. He came in, he told the world, this is what I'm going to do. He got in the octagon. He took care of that business. He did his thing. Hats off to Ilia. Volk, unfortunately, he fought the better man that night. Watching the fight, Ilia definitely had octagon control, dictate where the fight was going. But Volk was answering from time to time. But unfortunately, Ilia walked him into a devastating right that he didn't see coming. And when they made contact with Volk's chin, that was the story. Again, hats off to Ilia. It is, in my opinion, it shaked up the featherweight division. Interesting fights could not be made, assuming they don't go immediate rematch. We're gonna see what happens here. Again, huge hats off to Ilia. What an event. UFC 298. Crazy fight card.